Welcome to this tutorial on Krion6D on how to create a workflow in the Krion6D project management system. Let's walk through the process of setting up a workflow from start to finish. First, navigate to the Settings option in the main menu. From the list, select Workflow. This will open the Workflows main page, where all your workflows are listed. To add a new workflow, click on the Add Workflow button. A new page will appear for you to fill in the details of your new workflow. Begin by entering the general information for your workflow. In the Select Steps drop-down, choose the number of approval steps you'd like. The minimum is 1 step, and the maximum is 7. For this example, we'll select a 5-step approval process. Next, enter a name for your workflow in the Name field. In the Description box, provide details about the workflow's purpose. Now, in the Workflow category drop-down, choose a category that best suits your workflow. Categories like Process, Document, RFA, and more are available. Here, we'll select Process. Then, choose the status of the workflow. To make it active immediately, select Active. Now, for the name for approval, this will be the final approver's name, which will appear in the final step. In the Editable field, select whether users can edit tasks within this workflow. This depends on how your workflow is configured. Let's move on to configuring the first step of the workflow. In Step 1, enter the step name, which is typically the responsible user's name. Then, for time allowed, choose the time limit for the task. We'll select 1 day and specify whether it's a calendar day or working day. Under Auto Approval Days, you can choose the number of days after which the step will auto-approve if no action is taken. Enable the Email Trigger checkbox to automatically send email notifications when this step is approved. Next, choose a color from the Step Color drop-down. This color will be used to identify this step in the workflow list. Then, select the user responsible for this step from the Select User drop-down. Finally, provide any additional details in the description box. Now let's configure Step 2. Enter the step name and select the time allowed. We'll choose Calendar Day for this step. Next, configure the Auto Approval Days and enable the email trigger to notify users automatically. Then, choose the user and user group responsible for this step. Decide whether every member must review and set the minimum number of reviews required. Here, we'll select minimum number of reviews required and set the approval limits to 1. Moving on to Step 3, enter the step name, select the time allowed as calendar day, and choose the user and user group responsible. Under Step Revise 2, select the previous step the workflow will revert to if required. For this step, we'll assign Step 1. Enable the Email Trigger checkbox and choose a color for the step from the Step Color drop-down. In Step 4, enter the required details, including step name, time allowed, and auto approval days. Enable the email trigger and choose the user and user group responsible for this step. Configure the Step Revise to option to return to the previous step. In this case, we'll assign it back to Step 2. Next, select whether every member must review and set the minimum number of reviews required. We'll set the approval limits to 2. Now, in the final step, enter the step name and select the user responsible. Enable the Email Trigger checkbox and configure the Step Revise to option. For this final step, we'll assign it back to Step 1 as needed. Next, configure the Watcher role. In the Select User drop-down, choose a watcher who will observe the workflow's progress. Then, select the Watcher user group from the drop-down. Use the Workflow Notes text box to add any additional notes or instructions for the workflow. Once you've configured all the steps and details, click Create to finalize and save your new workflow. Congratulations! You've just created a new workflow in Krion6D. It's now ready for use. Thank you for following this tutorial, and we hope this helps you manage your projects more efficiently.